Hello and welcome back to the shop. If you don't know, my name is Steven and I run this place. I can't really call it a forge yet because I don't have a forge yet. But if you've been here for a little while, you probably watched a couple of my videos. If you're new here, I suggest you go check out some of the other Shop Talk series episodes. I wanted to show you real quick what I've done with the blower from the last episode. If you've been here for a while, you've seen some of these episodes. You may have seen the last episode that went up. It was about mounting a blower or setting up a blower from an HVAC unit in a Subaru STI as our forge. That was part one, kind of. This is technically part two. I'm going to be working on actually creating the mount itself for the blower. I keep looking down because it's like right in front of me. And I'll bring it around so you can see what I've done. Essentially what I've done is take this AC to DC converter. I did look it up afterward. If you saw the video, then you saw the explanation that this is, it is a 110 volt, 15 amp to 12 volt, 5 amp, or sorry, 12 volt, 2 amp setup. And this is running to a rheostat, not unlike this one because they came in the same pack. So this is a rheostat. This particular rheostat actually comes or takes in the 12 volt, 2 amp, but it doesn't. It actually takes a 3 volt all the way up to like a 35 volt, and it sits at a 5 amp capability. So that tells me why I was getting that bell curve effect, and I'm getting that bell curve effect on the top end of my rheostat. My rheostat, however, is in this housing. See if I can get it off of here. You can see inside. I 3D printed this. I have a FlashForge Adventurer 3 filament printer. This really should be a PLA plastic to be more environmentally conscious, but I have ABS on hand and I just haven't bought any more PLA yet. So shame on me, but it is what it is. This is a PLA plastic, and I've made this just in Blender. This is a free software that allows me to 3D model things. You can set it up to work in millimeters so you get fairly accurate. Then I can transfer it over to my 3D printing program fairly easily. There was a little bit of slop in the back of this side where I'm not too proud of myself, but it happens. This is super glued to the base piece. These are two separate pieces. And I just have the positive and ground, or the hot wire and the ground, going over to this HVAC blower. So that when I plug in my, when I plug in the power to the adapter, we get a little blue light here. We can power this up. I got a couple of little dark lines on this so that you can see. The dark line up here is the top end, and the dark line down here is the bottom end. And we have a little red light showing that we have power going through the chip to the motor itself, just in case we couldn't tell. And this actually blows out a decent amount of air. So that's all I've done is I transferred this over from just the bare PCB and some duct tape on a board over to this particular mount system that I 3D printed. Pretty happy with it. I don't do a ton of practical 3D printing stuff. Believe it or not, like so many people seem to be doing on the internet nowadays, I play D&D, and I like to 3D print my miniatures for D&D. I'm an amateur dungeon master, so I'm still learning the craft, so to speak. But that being said, back to our forging system topic. We have the blower electrical setup. Now I need to make a stand for this. And if you watched the last episode, again, you probably remember that I created a plan in my head for what I wanted to do. Now, as of this particular recording, I apologize, I'm trying to get this clip out of the blower itself so I can move my electronics. The mount doesn't need to be fancy. I have no intention of making it fancy. The mount needs to be a mount. And I got a plan worked up in my head using some OSB and a pencil. And as I started thinking through it off camera, I started thinking that maybe that's not the best way to go about it. In fact, I know it's not the best way to go about it, but I don't know what is the best way to go about it. So like all things in life, I started blasting. No, like all things in this particular realm of making, I've decided to give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. I do have the backup plan of just making a cone out of some cardboard, which would also work because eventually I want to reduce it. Need to get some gloves on it. Hey, welcome to tradition. It's cold out here. It is March, 10th, it's March 13th as of recording this video. Feels like just yesterday I bought my anvil, but it wasn't just yesterday. It was a while ago now, and it's just been sitting in my shop for a month. It's been over a month. Wow, it's been over a month since I got my anvil. Jeez. Anyway. The idea is that I'm going to take this bar, this tubing actually, and I'm going to mount it to this blower system. Ideally, this blower will be interchangeable with another blower. Anyway, all that to say, this is recap for my previous video. Now I'm going to actually work on this. I'm going to go ahead and cut out my plan here and go from there. Who knows? Maybe we'll have something going. Oh, I should tell you the motivation for why I want to do this now. It is currently 11:30 at night on a Sunday. I work tomorrow bright and early at, not really bright and early, at about 9. And I am going over to a friend's house tomorrow to help them set up some of their stuff for their YouTube channel. And then on Tuesday, I'm having a couple of friends over to help me put a fire in the forge for the very first time. So I'd like to have this blower set up before then. That would be the ideal state. That was the worst cutting I've ever done with a bandsaw. I think I'm out of practice. That was truly atrocious. The fact of the matter is, though, my cuts, although not perfect, my cuts did achieve, to a degree, what I was hoping for. In that, I now have a faceplate for my blower. Faceplate. This is actually the mount so that I can take my other board, which is over there. You were sitting on it not too long ago. How dare you? You could have broken it. This stuff ain't cheap. COVID really killed the lumber market for prices. Like, man. And now I see the error of my ways. The error of my ways being, sorry, I have to be able to see myself a little bit here. The error of my ways being that, of course, there's a gap. So now, time to solve that problem. How do we want to do this? Embrace the jank. Embrace the jank. So if I offset this other plate, I can narrow the gap quite a bit. You know what fits in there? Another piece of plywood. And I have 2 more pieces of plywood. So I can make a sandwich of plywood here. That completes my mount. Will it be pretty? No. Will it be adaptable? Also no. But it'll work for now. We can work on making it adaptable later, if need be. I've now done some vague estimates because this doesn't need to be precise. I mean, I don't have to be in the thousandths range. I just need it to fit together. So we're gonna cut this little box out and see how it goes. No one ever called me a carpenter. Don't. That said, if you're really looking for a saw to help you out in your workshop, jigsaws, bring it, man. $1 for power, they do the job, man. It's way too big. What? Beautiful. Mistakes were made. We are way off. Now, I did just get through saying this doesn't need to be exact. And it doesn't. It really doesn't. It's always when you're trying to do something and show somebody how to do something that it all goes horrifically wrong. You know? Like, just horrifically wrong. There's nothing terribly interesting on screen except watching me agonize. Absolutely agonize over what I'm doing. Because what I'm doing is dumb. And that's okay. Because I never claimed to know what I was doing. I needed lines that show how this weird piece fits onto this piece. And we're really wide here. Like, I'm not a carpenter. I've never claimed to be. I've never really wanted to be. There are some pretty skilled people out there, but man, that is far off. See that's how far off we are. It's grotesque and hilarious. Like somehow it's both. All right, time to screw them together because why not? I would like to sincerely apologize to anybody who's been watching this as a tutorial. So far, anyway. Once again, I have never claimed to be a woodworker I've never claimed to be a carpenter. I used to be a woodworker in that I would carve using chisels and Dremels, mantles and lamps with my dad back when he was still alive. This that I've made here is what is known as an abomination. Why? I don't want to show it to you. I don't. I gotta do some trim up. I gotta do a lot of trim up. But I'll tell you something. I never set out in this channel to be perfect. In fact, quite the opposite. I set out in this channel to be imperfect, to show you who I am today, and what I can become later on, because I will get better at this stuff. Maybe not woodworking, but I'll get better at making my own tools. I'll get better at making stuff happen through practice, through mistakes, through failures. This one I'm rushing through. I'll admit it. I am absolutely rushing through this. 3D modeling, 3D printing, things like that. I can do that stuff fairly decently for the layman. I went through with calipers and measured my PCB and everything. I went through and made sure that the height, width, and depth were all in line, made sure I could make a mounting bracket with minimal mistakes to make sure that it would fit what I needed to. I'm not dumb, and I'm not incapable, but I am incredibly impatient. And so because of that, this has happened. And I'm going to show you, because you can laugh at me in the comments if you want to, but you need to see where I'm at right now so that you know where you could be right now, if not a little bit better, if not a little bit worse. But you can start out just like with the mentality, I just need something. And so here's something. I've got, oh my gosh, I hate this. I've got my back plate here. You can kind of see it down here. Then I've got an intermediary plate and a secondary intermediary plate on that same layer. Then I've got this face plate that's covering up the whole of the blower. I plan to trim off this top piece. I'll trim off the garbage on the bottom and everything like that. And that should be that should be what I then punch a hole in to mount my pipe to for my blower. It's ugly. It's a problem. And I intend to fix it. And it's going to take a little bit of time to do so. And I'm not ashamed of that. The fact of the matter is, this thing didn't exist when I started this video, and now it does, for better or worse. And it'll work. It'll do what I need it to do. Absolutely. Now, I gotta give this thing some orientation, I gotta clean up this faceplate, give it some orientation, give it some legs, and call it good. We'll go from there. So let's do that. Once again, it's not pretty, but it's doing the job. 2 legs in back, supported up front here. Got this leg here, it's stable for the most part. Should be fine. Again, doesn't need to be pretty. I hadn't planned on it being pretty. I didn't have a plan going into this. Plans are for managers and losers. It's not true. Make a plan. It saves you a lot of hassle. I just like to hassle, I think. I think that's what it comes down to, is I just like to. So we're real close to having the wood part of this done. I need to drill a hole that is roughly the diameter of my tubing, and we'll go from there. I think I need to swap out my battery in the GoPro because I've been recording a lot of time lapses and a lot of video with the screen on. So I've got a spare battery, so I'll throw that in, and hopefully we can get the basis of this at least done. I might have to run to Home Depot later, like tomorrow or the day after or something like that, just to see if I can get this wrapped up before Tuesday. That'd be primo. You know how a while back I bought a super long 3/4 inch drill bit? Probably don't, because I didn't record a ton of me actually making the stand for the anvil, shame on me. But it is used for the threaded rod that I bought from Ye Old Orange Warehouse. 3/4 inch threaded rod, because I wasn't sure if a 1/2 inch was going to be enough. It would have been, but neither here nor there. So I bought this. Turns out it is the same diameter as my blower tubing, give or take a few thousandths. So now all I gotta do is punch a hole into the front of my blower plate here. Should be all I have to do. I shouldn't miss, because it's a pretty wide hole. Does this look like a tiny like fingerling potato cannon? Yes. Yes, it does. Oh, but I bet you it's gonna work. Let me grab my electronics and we'll give this sucker a test. Everything should be fine. I just want to see what my pressure feels like at the end of the tubing. Is this the final state? Heck no, but I am done for the night because I don't feel like cutting metal tubing today. Where's a good spot for this? I guess there. I'm getting a lot of blowback inside of the blower cavity. I'm guessing it's due to the restriction itself. My calculations are probably not correct. There's a lot that's blowing back under here instead of just incoming and then going that way. So I gotta figure that out. But it is currently 1:30 in the morning. Yeah, 1:30. Well, 1:33. So I think that'll have to do it for this video, maybe? I don't know. That is disappointing to say the least. But I can't say it's entirely unexpected. I'm sure I can buy some tapering segments, maybe some ductwork, but it's not blowing, honestly, all that much harder, if at all harder, than the small blower that I have in the other system. And I'm guessing it's just purely because of the blowback. I mean, that would make sense. I've got this annoying light that's right behind me. Sorry about that. We can go over here. So, superbly disappointing, honestly. But again, not entirely unexpected, because I had thought of this. I had thought of an instance where the instant wall blocking that wind would be too much. So I will likely have to taper that down. And the best way to do that, as far as I can tell, does not negate what I'm doing right now. If anything, this makes it easier to do the next stage, which would be to find a way to conically taper, make a cone that's wide on the end of the blower and narrow at the other end so that it has some travel distance so the air can condense instead of just hitting a turbulent wall. We're getting into basic fluid dynamics, and it's been a while since I studied those too. So something I could do is buy a 2 liter of soda, no particular soda necessary, and use that. But man, is that janky. And I know I said embrace the jank before, but I don't even know how I would attach that. I do know how I would attach that. I'd 3D print a 4-way component, 8-way component, because it'd be an inner ring and an outer ring with some screw mounts. That's a bad idea, but I kind of love it. Oh, there's one other thing I need to check. I need to see if the screw holes on the mount for my rheostat will support the screws I have currently. If not, I can make some adapters, or I can go out and buy bigger screws. Either way. Not that upset either way. Will those fall right through? Oh, no! Just barely! Just flipping barely. I bet you I could put them in on an angle. I bet you I could put them in on an angle. I bet you I can. I bet you I can. You know why I bet you I can? Because that's what I'm gonna do. I think, do I want it like this? Probably. Probably. This is a bad idea. All right, make sure everything still works. It should. Yeah, it does. Now I just need to pretty up some cabling, which is easy because I can just bring it down and around the base here, which should be super simple. I'm not gonna worry about it tonight though, because I don't want to finalize things until things are final. So I got to figure out my tapering system for this. And man, it's gonna boggle my mind for a while. Ooh, that's a heck of a set of sharp corners from when I broke these off in the last video on Dragon Ball. Nope. Anyway, yeah, this is the end of this video. This has gone on long enough. There will be a part 3 to this, I'm sure. I don't know when I'll get around to recording it, but I apologize for it dragging on for so long. We made a lot of progress, though, for being late at night and me rushing. I didn't have to undo a ton of work, which is pretty nice, generally speaking. Is it perfect work? Heck no. Never claimed it would be. Is it good work? Yes, it works. Kind of. It kind of works. 'Cause, you know what? That being said, with it being the end of the video, all of these shop lights, I'm telling you, they're absolutely awful. Created an awful light bloom behind me. This is the end of this video. I appreciate you watching. I really do. If you enjoy this content, throw me a like. If you have ideas on how I can make this work better, which there are hundreds of ideas on how to make this work better, go ahead and throw me a lovely, lovely, lovely comment, and throw me some suggestions or some ideas that you personally have. If you are new here and this is the first time seeing this video, there are a number of other videos on the channel, some of them gaming from back before I switched my content over, me telling stories, or rather me helping you tell better stories. I rather enjoy that segment or that set of videos that I made. I plan on making more. I'm working on writing a story that I can present to you all using the skill sets that I have provided you, or the tips tips and tricks that I have provided you. So feel free to let me know if you want to hear about those. And of course, more shop talk and more of 3 Nails Ironworks coming soon. Like I said, Tuesday, in a couple of days, I would technically tomorrow, I will be having some friends over, and we're going to be doing the initial burn-in on the forge to make sure that the refractory is cured. I've waited this long because my anxiety is hit heavily on screwing this whole thing up. I'm really nervous about making a huge mistake at the later stages of this. So, yeah. If you have ways to combat that effectively, other than don't be anxious, let me know. But for real, I appreciate any comments, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So again, if you're new here and you haven't seen the other videos, go check those out. They are fun and enjoyable, especially after the gaming content. The gaming content kind of got stale, not gonna lie. But go ahead and throw me a subscription too if you want to see more of this kind of content. So that does tell me, even if it doesn't help the YouTube algorithm, it does tell me that the videos that I'm making are interesting to you and that you want to see more of them. So please go ahead and do that. And until next time, have a good one.